Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantosti Apadrani Vidunauti Sahasratam Nashtaprayeshu Apadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So this time we are doing Canto 3, Chapter 32, and it's really like a summary. So I'm just going to do the other prayers too, and then we can start. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I humbly bow down to all the assembled devotees. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to read and summarize from this chapter this morning. And also I would like to, remind everyone and also wishing everyone a happy Sri Advaita Acharya appearance day today. And we will be fasting till noon. And also one quick reminder that this evening, 7 p.m., Ananta Chaitanya Prabhu will be doing a class through Zoom. So I'll post the details also in the group, but I just want to let everyone know about that. All right. So this chapter 32. So right now we were in chapter 31. And in chapter 31, we saw the prayers of, the fetus in the womb and all of that. And also it talked about what will happen when somebody is not doing sinful activities, how the fall down of the jiva happens and the degradation, and all of that was in chapter 31. So in this chapter 32, as it is titled, Entanglement and Fruitive Activity. So in here, it also really the focus is here going to be Krishna, Lord Kapila is going to speak about the different paths that we can be taking and what are the results of the different paths. There is sakam karma and nishkam karma. So what happens when somebody does that? And then what happens with the other different paths, right? Like somebody who's following the yogic path and somebody that is following the jnana path, all of that karma path, all the different things, and what does it lead to? And ultimately, Lord Kapila also concludes saying that if somehow all the different paths, if they don't take us to the realization of Bhagwan, then it is considered useless. So that's the whole conclusion. And that's the last verse also. It's really beautiful. Okay. So here, this is really the summary of the different paths. And this also, when you have read through Bhagavad Gita, you will see that there's a lot of those tattvas that is explained in Bhagavad Gita are going to be repeated here in this chapter. So here it is also, I'm just going to share about the breakdown, right? About the verses and how the references are. So there are about 6 main themes in this chapter. So the first theme, verses 1 through 4, the theme is worship of the demigods cannot avoid liberation from birth and death. Very important factor, right, for us to know. The materialistic householders or grihamedis worship the demigods to get material benefits and fruitive results. They may reach the heavenly planets or the moon planet in the next life, but because they cannot control their senses and still have material desires, they have to return to earth to continue in the cycle of birth and death. So we got that clear. Next theme is the Lord's devotees do not act for their sense gratification, but for the pleasure of the Lord. So verses 6 through 7 in this chapter will be explaining that. The key message is that Arjuna didn't want to kill his enemies in the battle of Kurukshetra, but he fought following the order of the Lord just to please the Lord. In the same way, the devotee only works for the satisfaction of the Lord, and at the end of life goes back home, back to Godhead. So in this matter, we can see, right, even in our lives, whatever we do, as long as Krishna is at the center and we are working through that perception, it's completely devoted, completely everything is for the Lord. The next section is from 332, 8 through 12, and the 16 through 21. The theme is going to be, it is better to directly take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead than take shelter of the demigods or follow any other process of spiritual realization. Again, Lord Kapila is really focusing on the important aspect of taking shelter directly of Krishna. Demigod worshippers cannot achieve liberation from birth and death because the demigod themselves are not liberated and hence cannot avoid liberation. Even the yogis who indirectly worship the Lord by meditating on the plenary expansion of Vishnu go to Brahma Loka, and at the end of their life, where they merge into Brahma's body. And only at the end of Brahma's life, they go to the spiritual world or return to the material world. The Bhakti yogis, however, who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, directly go to the spiritual world. Again, this is, remember, right, this is explained very clearly in Bhagavad Gita also, that Krishna has, there are different paths. Those who worship the demigods go to those places of demigods, and those who different Bahushaka, right? And basically, Krishna does support you though, like Krishna will support us whatever path we take. However, he is very clearly explaining in Bhagavad Gita, and here Lord Kapila is also very clearly explaining that if we meditate, if you serve directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are going to go back to his world. When the results of fruitive activity is exhausted, one has to come back to earth. This is from verses 20 through 21. Materialistic persons only do work to enjoy the results, and they don't like to hear the glories of the Lord. They may go to Pitraloka, the planet of their forefathers, or the heavenly planets. But as soon as the result of their pious activities are finished, they return to earth to continue in fruitive activity. Then the next theme is verses 22 to 28 and the 30. It is like when one is in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service, he automatically becomes more knowledgeable, detached, and self-realized. So here's the key message, right? One does not need to practice detachment or gain knowledge separately like the Gyanis. By devotional service, one automatically develops all good qualities and becomes detached and self-realized. Devotees have perfect knowledge of the Supreme Lord in his different features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And because they focus on the Bhagavan feature of the Lord, they have complete understanding of the Lord and eventually see him face to face. So here is one analogy, right? I think you all have heard about that story where there were 6 blind men and they were trying to touch, like there was a big elephant in front of them. One person was trying to feel the tail and they thought it's like a rope. One other person felt like the trunk and they thought it was something else. Then somebody felt the trunk, somebody felt the feet of the elephant and they thought it was like a big trunk or something like that, or tree, so everybody was depending on which part they were feeling, because they were blindfolded, they thought that's what it was. But when somebody could open their eyes and see that the elephant is like the whole elephant, right, then that realization is completely different. Just like that, when somebody is doing like a different parts of realization, but when we come to the Bhagwan realization, that is like seeing the full elephant, the big picture, right? You can see the full of it. So that's how the Brahman realization is really partial. It's not, it is a part of Krishna, but it is incomplete. Paramatma realization is incomplete. However, when we come to the Bhagwan realization, it already encompasses all of the realizations in it. So that's what we are being encouraged all along, to have that Bhagwan realization. And the last section is verses 31 through 36, where it is, the theme is, for any activity to be successful, one must execute it in Bhakti Yoga. And when Bhakti Yoga is prominent in every activity, then one reaches the ultimate goal of life. people belonging to different social orders, that is, brahmacharis, grahasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, are recommended to perform certain activities according to their position in society. However, if a devotional service to the Lord is missing, then their activities are meaningless and unsuccessful. But if they add bhakti yoga to all their activities, then they understand their constitutional position as servant of Krishna and reach the Lord's abode. So these are the main key messages. And then I'll also go ahead and post the image of this, what I just read. Actually, this is from Arudha Mataji's. She does like a compilation summary of all of those, the first 6 cantos, so I'll definitely share that with you all too. It is really beautiful how she has put all the key messages together. So that's really in summary of chapter 32. And as I said, in the last verse, Lord Kapila also says that anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. So that's it, right? There is a complete assurance that if we focus on Krishna, he gives us the guarantee that we are definitely going back to Godhead. So that's about the chapter summary. Now, also very quickly, right? Today, as I said, is the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya. And very quickly, I just want to say that, he is really the foremost of all the Acharyas. And he resided in Navadvip. And it was because of his prayer that he continuously worshipped the Shalagram Shila with Tulsi Manjaris and Ganges water with intense eagerness. He continuously worshipped us. And because of that spiritual force, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So that's why he's very important for us in our disciplic succession, Sri Advaita Acharya. And then also, he's the combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, who resides in Goloka. So that's why. So, whenever we see the Pancha Tattva, right, Sri Advaita Acharya is towards the left, so you can see. So once when Advaita Acharya performed worship, whatever gods and demigods he used to meditate upon, he saw all gathered at Lord Chaitanya's feet, lotus feet, offering prayers. And raising up his 2 hands, Advaita exclaimed in great ecstasy, "Today, all the days of my life have produced a successful result, and as all my desires have been fulfilled. So my birth and activities have finally borne fruit. I have directly perceived your 2 lotus feet, which are proclaimed throughout the 4 Vedas, but are unattainable thereby. Now, by your causeless mercy, you have revealed yourself to me." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also reciprocated very nicely to Advaita Acharya. And as I said, there is one specific chapter that talks all the details about Sri Advaita Acharya, and I'll go ahead and share that also, that specific chapter from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the glorification. So as I said, earlier also, I think I posted it. If you all can record, if you see some very inspiring message, if you would like to record that and send it over to me, I can post it in YouTube and also Facebook. And again, 7 p.m., Ananta Chaitanya Prabhu will do like a Zoom class. It will be the same link that we can connect it to. So with that, I would like to end. Again, thank you so much, devotees, for giving me this opportunity. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or any misinterpretations on my behalf.